Welcome to Yin Yoga. We're going to get started in this nice, relaxing session. And today we're going to be focusing on the hips, getting those nice and open, the hip joints, ligaments, all sorts of wonderful stuff. So if you'll get started, nice and easy seat on the mat, wherever you're comfortable. Take a moment to start to let things go. You can roll your shoulders up towards your ears and back. Do that a couple times. Roll the shoulders up, let them fall back. And then when you're ready, let those shoulders slide down the back. Let your hands rest on your knees. Let your eyes gently close. Allow yourself to start to let go of the rest of your day. Let go of the week behind you, of the weekend ahead of you. And allow yourself to be right where you are with your breath. So start to notice your breath. Taking deep breaths in, all the way down to your belly. Let the muscles in your face release and relax. Let your shoulders sink down a little more. Let your legs sink down. Notice the flow of air as it comes in and out of your nose. Notice the rise and fall of your chest. As we go through this yin practice, you're asking your body to find stillness in each pose, as well as asking the mind to find stillness. This can be a very meditative practice. So as you go through the poses, it can be helpful to have a singular focus to guide your mind back to each time you notice it start to wander. You can take a moment to choose a word or phrase or feeling, something you'd like to take away from your practice and carry on with you through the rest of your weekend. And that can be your point of focus to bring the mind back to stillness and release. That word can be something like peace, calm, release, ease, whatever it is you are wanting from this practice that you're wanting to take with you. Continue to breathe as you find that word or phrase, and use that word or phrase almost as a mantra. Keep the mind released and let go. When you're ready, let your eyes gently open and moving slowly, very slowly, bring the bottoms of your feet together in a long-legged butterfly. So with this, you want to take the feet a little bit further away than you would normally in Baddha Konasana. Take those feet further away. And here, if you'd like, you can grab some blocks to go underneath your knees or your thighs. You can grab a bolster if you'd like. I have some next to me. I'll show you how we can use those. So with the blocks, you can take those, bolster, however you like. The goal here is to be as comfortable in this position as possible, to find your edge where your body naturally wants to stop and then to stop there. So you can place those blocks beneath your knees. Roll the shoulders back and start to lean forward. And wherever your body says, oh, that's enough, let's stop, that's where you want to stay. So you can, even though you may be able to go further, you want to find that place that feels good. So find your sit bones on the mat, start to lean forward, find that spot. And you can make adjustments from here. So at this point, you can grab a blanket or a pillow if you want. If you want to kind of lean over, whatever you need to do to be supported. Find that spot. And then once you've gotten there, resolve for stillness. Just stay in this pose, nice and still, without fidgeting or moving around. Just allowing yourself to stay in this position for the next few moments. Let your head hang. If you find any pain or discomfort in your neck, go ahead and you can hold your head in your hands. Again, making this as comfortable for you as possible. Deep breaths into the low back, into the outer hips. If you find at any point while in this pose that your body is ready to go a little deeper down to the next edge, next limit, go ahead and make your way down wherever is honoring to your body. If you ever find that you've gone a little too deep, that's absolutely okay. Just pull back a little bit. Just a few more breaths. Take these last few nice and deep, all the way down into the belly, to the low back, into the hips. And then when you're ready, slowly and gently press your palms into the mat. Walk your hands up towards your center body, moving very slowly. Roll the spine up one vertebrae at a time. Bring the head up last. And then when you're ready, use your hands to guide the knees back together. You can stretch your legs out long. You can rock them from side to side. You can do windshield wiper motion with your knees. Whatever feels good to help release that pose. Slowly and gently make your way into hands and knees. Here at hands and knees, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. Nice, neutral spine. And as you do, take the knees wide, bring the toes together, send the hips back towards the heels. Here, if you have any shortness in the fronts of your thighs or in your low back, you can always grab a block or a pillow or something, put it between your legs, between your knees to support you, wherever feels good. Send those hips back towards the heels. Stretch the arms out in front of you and let your forehead rest gently on the mat between the eyebrows. Going into extended child's pose. From here, breathe into the low back. Breathe into the hips and the belly. Again, making whatever adjustments you need to be able to hold this pose comfortably for the next few moments. If you have any discomfort in the knees, you can bring a blanket underneath the knees. You can bring your head to a block rather than to the mat. I've even practiced this with a pillow under my belly to help support the torso. Wherever feels good. Just find that stillness and then resolve to stay still and hold the pose for the entire time. The longer you hold this pose, the more your mind may be tempted to wander. Gently nudge it back to the rhythm of your breath and to that word or phrase that you chose. Gently bringing your mind back to focus, back to stillness. A few more breaths here in child's pose. Take them deep down into the belly. And then when you're ready, press your palms into the mat. Start to lift your head and heart up. Come back up to hands and knees. Gently and slowly bring the knees in under the hips. Bring the hands under the shoulders. Nice neutral spine. From here, you're going to lift the right knee up, kind of stretching it up, pressing the heel towards the ceiling. From there, pull that right knee in towards the chest. Slowly stretch the right leg out as far as you'd like. Press through the heel. And hug that right knee into the chest. And this time, send the right foot over towards the left side of the mat. You're coming into pigeon pose. So from here, start to walk that left leg back. Coming down, opening through the front of the hips and through the outer edge of the hips here. So this one is one that really can benefit from props. So if you have a block, you can set that underneath your hip to support that there. You can also, if you have another block, bring that one to the front. As we come down, first we'll lift the head and heart and then walk the hands down to bring that torso down, bring the forehead down. You can use your block at any level you'd like. So there's 3 levels, 1, 2, and 3. So wherever your body feels best, find that level. You can even bring a pillow or a blanket or something else underneath your forehead if that feels better. But find the spot that works for you, where you don't feel any sharpness or pain. You will feel a lot of stretch in the outer hips as well as the inner hips, inner groin area. And so if you ever feel any sharpness or discomfort that feels like you don't want it and doesn't honor your body, just come out a little bit. You can even walk the other leg forward. But hold this pose as long as feels good. Coming down for a few minutes here. As you sink into the pose, find anywhere, if you find that your muscles are constricting or starting to tense, find those places and invite them to release, invite them to let go as you sink into the pose. A couple more deep breaths here in pigeon. Send those breaths down into the hips and thighs, into the belly and low back. And then when you're ready, start to lift the head and heart, press the palms into the mat, lifting that head and heart all the way up. Start to walk the left leg in, and then when you're ready, coming up to the hands and knees, stretch that right leg back, come up onto the toes of the right foot, press through the right heel. Really let that stretch out. And then bring the knees underneath the hips. Take the knees wide, bring the toes together, coming down again for child's pose. So finding your comfort here. You can stretch the arms out in front if you'd like, or you can lay them down by your sides as you rest the forehead down. Again, you can bring the forehead to a block if that feels good. From here, breathe into the hips and take a moment to notice any differences, any sensations you feel between your right and left hip now that you've gone through pigeon on one side. Take a few moments here just to take stock of the body, of how you feel, how things are moving. Continue to breathe. Last few breaths. Breathe deep into the belly. And then when you're ready, press your palms into the mat. Come back up to your hands and knees. Bring the knees underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders. From here, lift the left knee up off the mat. Press through that left foot. Hug the left knee in towards the chest and nose. Stretch the left leg out. Hug the left knee in towards the chest, and this time send the left foot over to the right side of the mat, coming down onto the shin. And from here, start to walk the right foot back, coming down as far as feels good. Stretching that out. Again, the foot doesn't have to be super far up. It can be tucked in quite close on that left foot. And you can take a block to support underneath your left hip, and a pillow or blanket or another block if you have it to support under the head. Before we come down, lift the head and heart up. Exhale, sink down. So you bring the forehead down to whatever support you have, whether that's blanket, block, stacked fists, wherever that feels good. Make sure that your hips, you have even distribution of the weight, that you're not sinking into one side or the other. And then breathe in deep into the belly, into the hips, the fronts of the thighs. Allow yourself to start to sink into the pose. Last few breaths here in pigeon. Breathing through. Press your palms into the mat to lift your head and heart up. Start to walk your right leg in. Coming up onto all fours. Stretch that left leg back. Come onto the toes of the left foot. Press through that left foot. And then when you're ready, bring the knees back underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders. Take the knees wide one more time for your final child's pose. Send the hips back. Here again, you can stretch the arms out and melt the head and heart down towards the mat. Or you can lay the arms to either side. Find wherever feels good to you. Make the adjustments you'd like. And come into a comfortable position where you can hold this for the next few moments. Take this moment to take stock of how your hips are feeling, the sensations you feel. Notice the differences between the first, second, and last child's pose. Allow yourself to release even more into this child's pose. And when you're ready, start to move slowly. Press your palms into the mat, lifting back up to your hands and knees. Bring the knees in under the hips. And from here, can roll into or swing the legs around into a seated position. Stretch the legs out long. Oh, let those legs swing back and forth. And then when you're ready, make your way all the way down to your back. Rolling onto the forearms, nice and slowly. Coming all the way down. Shift your shoulders underneath you. If you have any low back discomfort, go ahead and press your feet into the mat. Lift the hips up slightly. Tuck your tailbone up towards the ceiling and roll the spine down. You can also, if you like, Shift your shoulder blades so they lay flat underneath you. You can windshield wiper the knees from side to side to release any low back tension. Take a deep breath, and then on your exhale, hug your knees into your chest. Give them a squeeze there. And from here, you can rock from side to side, nice and slowly. Again, massaging the low back, working out any tension. And then when you're ready, keep the toes together. Take the knees out as wide as you'd like. Reach in between the legs to grab the outside edges of the feet or the ankles, whichever feels good and is comfortable for you. You can stay here if you like. This is a great hip opening. It's almost like a reclined child's pose. But if you'd like to continue on to happy baby, you can by lifting the feet up over the knees. So the ankles are in line with the knees right here. Nice long line here. Let the shoulders sink down towards the mat. And you can stay still here. Or if you feel the urge, you can rock from side to side, whichever feels good. Take a few deep breaths here, letting gravity help with opening the hips, releasing those joints and ligaments. Deep breath. Also check in with the back. Make sure that you're keeping the spine flat to the mat. You're not curling up at the neck. I want to keep this as relaxed as possible. So if you find yourself curling up, go ahead and move the hands down to the ankles or even to the backs of the thighs. Deep breaths. And when you're ready, bend your knees slowly to bring the feet back together. Release the hands and use them to guide your knees back together into center. Hug the knees in and then let them fall over to the right side of the mat, just stacking one on top of the other, not worrying too much about where they land or what position they're in. From here, we're going to come into an easy recline twist. So stretch the left hand out to the left side of the mat and let your head gently fall over to that left side. Take a few deep breaths here. If you notice any twinge or pinching in your back, I get some around the shoulder blades. What you can do is stretch your right arm out as well. If that doesn't take it away completely, I find that bringing the hands together for just a moment and then coming back to open into the twist, that can relieve that twinge. Allow this twist to nourish the spine, to wring out any tension in the back like you're wringing out a dishcloth. Take a deep breath in. Bring your head back to center. Pull your arms in. Hug your knees back up into center. Give them a little squeeze. And we can rock those from side to side. When you're ready, go ahead and send the legs over to the left side of the mat, letting them fall where they will. Again, stretch the opposite, the right arm out. Let your head fall over to that right side. Gentle twist here. Let your eyes close and release. Let the tension wring out of your spine. Take a deep breath in. Bring your head back into center. Pull your arms in and hug your knees up into your chest one more time. Give them a good squeeze. Again, you can rock from side to side to release any tension. And then when you're ready, go ahead and stretch your legs out to the outside edges of your mat. Shift your shoulders underneath you. Let your hands fall out to either side. If you have any lower back discomfort, you can tuck a pillow or blanket or even blocks underneath your knees to relieve that. This is your final relaxation pose. You want it to be as comfortable as possible. As you come into a place of stillness, bring your awareness back to your breath, back to the rise and fall of your chest, back to the filling and emptying of your belly, the sensation of air as it flows in and out of your nose. When you're ready, gently guide the mind back to the breath, back to that rise and fall. Also guide the mind to your word or phrase that you chose at the beginning of your practice. Allow those points of focus to redirect the mind as it starts to wander, as you start to think about your weekend ahead or the week behind you. Come back to that singular point That allows you to release the mind. As you release your mind, also start to release the muscles and joints in the body. Start at the crown of your head and allow that release to flow down into the back of the head, softening the muscles as you notice and are aware of each one. Soften down into the shoulders, into the outer shoulders, the upper arms. Release through the elbows and the forearms. Soften the wrists, the palms of the hands, all the way down to the fingertips. Let your fingers curl naturally inward. Do let the arms sink down into the earth. Soften through the shoulder blades, down into the mid back, through the lower back and into the glutes. Soften behind the thighs and the backs of the knees. Release the calves and the ankles. Soften the bottoms of the feet all the way down to the toes. Allow that release to flow back up over the top of the body, softening tops of the feet, the ankles, shins, your knees, and the tops of your thighs. Letting the legs be heavy, sink down into the earth. Soften through the hips and pelvis up into the belly, feeling the softness of your belly. That release through the belly and side body. Soften up through the ribs and into the chest. Taking a deep breath here to expand the rib cage and the chest. Exhale to release. Letting everything sink and soften. Release through the collarbone and up into the fronts of the shoulders and the tops of the shoulders. Release the sides of the neck and around the front of the neck and throat, swallowing if needed to release the throat. Let the ears fall back and away. Soften down into the jaw, all the way to the chin. Letting the mouth open slightly to let the tension you may hold in your jaw melt away. Release the muscles around the mouth, the nose, the cheeks, and under the eyes. Letting the eyelids release and relax, and the eyes sink back into their sockets. Soften between the eyebrows. Allow that release to flow out through the eyebrows and into the temples. Soften up through the forehead, into the scalp. Letting that release flow around the scalp as if you're getting a tingly massage all over your head. That release flow back to the crown of the head where you started. And imagine the sensation of your brain sinking back into its skull. As you release, allow yourself to surrender to gravity, to be cradled by the earth beneath you and held safe and secure. Take the next few moments of quiet stillness to be present with your breath, life-giving flow, present with your body that is released and relaxed, present with yourself where you are right now. Start to bring small movements to your fingers and toes, gently guiding you back to wakefulness. When you're ready, make your way over to your right side and rest there for a moment, using your arm as a pillow. Savor these last few moments of stillness. And when you feel the urge to move, use the strength of your hands and your arms to press into the mat. Lift yourself back up to seated. Bring your head up last. Moving nice and slow. Once you've made it all the way up to seated, we'll seal our practice with 3 cleansing breaths. Inhale the arms up overhead, up wide. Bring the palms together and exhale. Bring the hands down to heart center. 2 more. Inhale the arms out and up. Exhale down. Last one. Take a moment to bow to yourself in gratitude for your practice. Namaste. Thank you so much for your practice this evening. Be sure to be slow and gentle with yourself as you start to move about the room, as you start to continue on with your day. I hope to see you here again next time. Namaste.